Welcome to Co-Teaching and Teacher Preparation. This is a presentation for cooperating teachers and supervisors. I am very excited to share this best practice with you. We have two outcomes for today. The first is to define co-teaching and note the benefits, and the second is to define the co-teaching strategies. Most of us student taught in a traditional student teaching environment, and it was just fine. So why do we need to learn something new? Well, this slide shares with you 7 reasons why you should co-teach. Reduce student to teacher ratio, diversity and size of today's classrooms, enhance classroom management, greater student participation and engagement, increase instructional options for all students, enhance pedagogical skills, and enhance collaboration skills. Here is the cumulative data in reading from Minnesota. This slide and the next one present the reasons that my colleagues and I wanted to adopt co-teaching for the teaching credential program at Sacramento State. Pause the presentation for a moment so that you can look at the slide. As you read the slide, consider what stands out to you. This slide shows that the overall total for the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment in Reading is that the co-taught classrooms results are 11.6% higher than those in which there is one credentialed teacher in the classroom, and 14.8% higher compared to the traditional model of student teaching. For children who are eligible to receive free and reduced lunches, the co-taught classrooms results are 11.9% higher than those in which there is one credentialed teacher in the classroom, and 15.5% higher compared to the traditional model of student teaching. The most significant difference can be seen in special education eligible students for whom the results in the co-taught classroom were 21.6% higher than those in classrooms where there is one credentialed teacher in the classroom, and 28% higher compared to the traditional model of student teaching. Here's the data for the math proficiency exam in Minnesota. The most significant difference in math can be seen in the students who are special education eligible. When you compare the co-taught classroom to the traditional model of student teaching, the difference is 23.1%. You get the idea. As you can see, when co-teaching is used, student learning improves compared to classrooms with one credentialed teacher or with one credentialed teacher and student teacher who are not using the co-teaching model. The research discovered 7 benefits to K-12 students: increased student engagement and time on task, ability to work in smaller groups, more individual attention, questions got answered faster, papers and grades were returned more quickly, the students were better behaved, and there were fewer class disruptions for passing out papers, having projects checked, and other housekeeping tasks. 2 types of data were gathered to determine the benefits to teacher candidates. One was an end of experience survey, and the other was focus groups. The end of experience survey showed that 95% of the teacher candidates improved their classroom management skills. 94.9% believed that their collaboration skills increased, and 94.6% appreciated having more teaching time. Increased confidence was shared by 89.9% of the teacher candidates, and 89.1% reported having a deeper curriculum understanding. Finally, more opportunities to ask questions and reflect was experienced by 88.6% of the teacher candidates. The focus group shared that they appreciated being seen as a real teacher, feeling as though the collaboration was an equal partnership, the sharing of resources, and the mutual support and learning. These are the benefits to cooperating teachers. The majority of CTs who hosted a teacher candidate and used the co-teaching model consistently experienced these benefits. These were the outcomes of this research for CTs. Take a moment to consider one outcome that you hope to experience when hosting a teacher candidate. Here are a few quotes from cooperating teachers at the end of the first year of our program utilizing co-teaching. Last year, I was skeptical about the data slides, but truthfully, I received my preliminary SBAC scores, and my students with IEPs performed better on ELA, some of which I attribute to co-teaching. Co-teaching will have positive benefits for all stakeholders: students, CTs, and TCs. The success of the co-teaching model flies in the face of the old notion that your students won't be successful with a student teacher. Click on the Co-Teaching Strategies and Examples PDF in the module to access the document. You may want to take notes on this as you listen to the rest of the presentation. Note that that three of the strategies, station teaching, supplemental teaching, and alternative teaching, are differentiated strategies. The primary objective of co-teaching is to provide teacher candidates with an outstanding induction into the teaching profession. Through consistent mentoring by both the cooperating teacher and the university supervisor, the teacher candidates gain valuable teaching and leadership skills. At the same time, the students in the classroom benefit from having both teachers actively engaged in their learning. As the teacher candidate and the cooperating teacher work together, they are able to create unique lessons using co-teaching strategies to meet student needs. Often, co-teachers are able to be more innovative. Through a process of brainstorming and ongoing discussion, pairs identify creative ways to present content, ultimately meeting students' needs, including where and how they learn. As a team, they may address academic content in various ways, breaking topics down or introducing that content using a combination of strategies to actively engage students. A variety of strategies can be used when co-teaching. St. Cloud University incorporates 7 strategies adapted from the work of Marilyn Friend and Lynn Cook. There is no hierarchical order for implementing these strategies. However, the strategies are developmental. Pairs are asked to determine where within the curriculum or daily schedules the strategies would fit best, and these strategies can be used individually or in combination. Overall, the goal of co-teaching is to find ways to keep both teachers actively engaged with students and their learning. Although co-teachers may combine strategies to best meet student needs, I will begin by defining each strategy, establishing a common language. Once both the cooperating teacher and teacher candidate have an understanding of the benefits of each strategy, we encourage them to combine the strategies as they see fit. These are the strategies. One teach, one observe. One teacher has the primary instructional responsibility while the other gathers specific observational information on the students or the instructing teacher. As stated on the slide, the key to this strategy is to identify a focus for the observation. It's important to plan ahead of time and know exactly what you're going to observe for, whether it's to observe the teacher or the students and with the students, whether it's whole group, small group, or one individual child. Pause for a moment so you can think about some words that stand out to you. Hopefully, one of the words that you chose was focus. When observing, we tend to look at everything, which is overwhelming. In this strategy, the co-teachers, either individually or together, determine the focus that the co-teacher observes for, and then the two co-teachers debrief to ensure that the specific behaviors were identified. One teach, one observe is an underutilized strategy and tends to be used solely at the beginning of a new placement. However, this strategy is beneficial at any point in the program. For example, a teacher candidate who is struggling with transitions could observe the cooperating teacher's transitions specifically. Then, during the next lesson, the cooperating teacher would observe the teacher candidate's transitions and note improvements and next steps. This strategy supports teacher candidates in their growth throughout the program. One teach, one assist is an extension of one teach, one observe. One teacher has the primary instructional responsibility while the other assists the students with their work, monitors behavior, or corrects assignments alongside the students, often lending a voice to students or groups that would hesitate to participate or add comments. Pause for a moment so that you can think about the difference between one teach, one assist, and one teach, one observe. One teach, one assist is passive, while one teach, one assist is active. One teach, one observe is focused, while one teach, one assist is open to whatever comes up. Both strategies have only one co-teacher teaching. Next, station teaching is a strategy that lends itself to differentiation. It occurs when the co-teaching pair divides the instructional content into parts. Each teacher instructs one of the groups. The groups then rotate or spend a designated amount of time at each station, Often, independent stations will be used along with teacher-led stations. Pause for a moment so that you can think about the ways you would use this model to support the specific learning needs of your students. This strategy tends to be utilized in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. After that, many teachers, including myself, stop using station teaching. I challenge all of you who teach in grades 3 through 12 to consider this co-teaching model. Not only do students receive more instruction using this station teaching strategy, but it also has been reported that there are decreased behavior problems. In the parallel teaching approach, each teacher instructs half the students. The two teachers address the same instructional material and present the material using the same teaching strategies. The greatest benefits of this method include reducing the student to teacher ratio and improving the overall learning environment. Pause for a moment so that you can think about the planning and logistics needed to effectively implement this model. You can use parallel teaching for any content area. What content would your students benefit from having two smaller groups? These groups should be heterogeneous. Therefore, when creating these groups, make sure to mix up the students each time you use parallel teaching. Supplemental teaching is another one of the strategies that lends itself to differentiation. The supplemental teaching strategy allows one teacher to work with the students at their expected grade level, while the other teacher works with the students who need the information or materials to be retaught, extended, or remediated. Pause for a moment so that you can think about the ways this model could help you meet the needs of all of your students. In every classroom, there is a wide range of abilities. This strategy allows you to meet the students where they are. When discussing this strategy with co-teachers, they often comment on how this strategy addresses the need to provide opportunities to extend the information. This stands out to them because the students who need more challenge are often overlooked or just given more work. Alternative teaching is the last of the strategies that is a differentiated strategy. Alternative teaching provides two different approaches to teaching the same information. The learning outcome is the same for all students. However, the avenue for getting there is different. You have all presented the same material using different instructional strategies. Think about how you have done this and how this strategy would work with a co-teacher. We all bring our strengths into the classroom. This strategy allows individual co-teachers to use those strengths to benefit student learning. By using a team teaching strategy, both teachers are actively involved in the lesson. From a student's perspective, there is no clearly defined leader as both teachers share the instruction, are free to interject information, and are available to assist students and answer questions. While this is the hope, this is not the reality when team teaching begins. The CT is clearly the leader, but the goal is to create an invisible flow with no clearly defined leader by the end of the semester. Pause for a moment here. Given this reality, think about the conditions needed to make team teaching possible for a cooperating teacher and a teacher candidate at the beginning of the program. Co-teaching strategies have been used successfully at all grade levels and in every content area from preschool to senior high school. Teacher candidates and their cooperating teachers have effectively incorporated co-teaching into the classroom. Again, pairs are not expected to use co-teaching for every lesson, but during co-planning, they determine when and which strategies would be most useful in assisting student learning. Of course, there are times when the teacher candidate must be expected to handle all of the intricacies and demands of the classroom independently. They need time to develop their teaching and management skills, enhance their confidence, and reflect on their own abilities. When planning, it's important to remember that not all lessons are co-taught. When you are determining which lessons to co-teach, you should intentionally select lessons based on the content and on the needs of your students. Even though there are 7 co-teaching strategies, remember that the strategies are non-hierarchical but are developmental. You can use them in any order, and you can even combine strategies. Some co-teaching strategies involve keeping the entire class together, while others involve splitting the class into smaller groups. The strategies that split students into smaller groups are often preferred because of the obvious benefit of a reduced student to teacher ratio. Perhaps it is most important to remember to choose strategies based on student needs. For example, if a certain group of students struggles with new content, then it may be best to select alternative teaching so that they can be taught as a smaller group. Or if you're at the end of a unit and are reinforcing student learning, station teaching might be most appropriate. I would like to reiterate a statement I made at the beginning of the presentation. The goal of co-teaching is to find ways to keep both teachers actively engaged with the students and their learning. Have fun as you think about creative ways to implement co-teaching strategies to support student learning. Please click on the planning sheet in the module to access the document. This sheet can be used to plan how you will use co-teaching in your classroom with your teacher candidate. Begin with a discussion about the topics or content that are best aligned to a specific co-teaching strategy. You won't be held to that plan, but it's a great place to start. Based on the pacing guide, the teacher candidates will use one teach, one observe, and one teach, one assist until it is recommended that the two of you use the team teaching strategy. After you've had time to observe the candidate together, you can determine the co-teaching strategy that the candidate is ready for and that would be beneficial to student learning. Your participation in this professional learning session is an important milestone in our work together as partners in preparing new teachers for public schools in our region. We are fortunate to have this partnership. We know our co-teaching partnerships will have positive impacts on K-12 students in the area.